Brussels chief Maros Sefcovic has drawn a red line in the massive dispute involving post-Brexit arrangements in Northern Ireland and warned the ongoing negotiations cover 20 topics. The UK and European Union remain locked in discussions over the implementation of the Northern Ireland Protocol. Lord David Frost and the EU Commission Vice President agreed last week to step up talks to ensure goods flow smoothly between the UK and EU via Northern Ireland. The discussions also come on the back of growing political unrest in the country, which has seen rioting on the streets in loyalist areas of Belfast. The Northern Ireland Protocol tied Belfast to the EU customs union and single market, while the rest of the UK is not, but this has resulted issues at the border. The UK already took the unilateral decision to extend grace periods for further checks until the winter. Mr. Sefcovic has now thrown the gauntlet down to Boris Johnson and warned the EU will not accept a deal which put any risk to the integrity of the single market. Speaking to the Financial Times, the EU chief acknowledged the complexity of the protocol and called for a good faith approach. He said, "It's not easy to do, it's a massive task, but what we need is the good faith approach and the proper implementation of all the commitments already undertaken, so we see the system working, and then we can look at the risks which are associated with different measures being applied." This week, Brexit Minister Lord Frost travelled to Brussels in a fresh bid to resolve tensions over Mr. Johnson's trade deal. A UK government spokesperson said, "This meeting is part of our ongoing engagement with the EU to work through the outstanding issues with the protocol, in order to restore confidence on the ground, reflect the needs of communities and respect all dimensions of the Belfast Good Friday Agreement." The discussions so far have been constructive, but there are still significant differences that need to be resolved. Both the UK and EU are continuing to engage with business, civil society and other stakeholders in Northern Ireland to understand the issues they are facing. Leo Varadkar has also urged the European Union to cut officiousness or red tape and admitted Brussels is poorer without the UK as tensions across Northern Ireland and the Republic increase. Mr. Varadkar told a European Movement Ireland seminar, "In practice, despite our enormous differences, Ireland aligned itself with the United Kingdom on most of the everyday issues that the European Union dealt with. As a free trade, pro-enterprise and pro-competition champion, we tended to adopt similar positions and similar opt-outs to the UK. The European Union without the United Kingdom is a weaker and poorer place," but Mr. Varadkar added how achieving progress requires realism, generosity, practicality and reduced officiousness from Brussels. See below for live updates. Don't miss, EU deploying same old tactics as UK pushes to end Brexit row over knee, insight. Britain's furious at EU as MEPs still want rubber-stamped Brexit deal, reveal. Boris Johnson urged to punish EU if Brussels miss trade deal deadline, comment. 6:05 a.m. update, Michel Barnier issues brutal Frexit warning to Emmanuel Macron, act before it's too late. France could vote to quit the European Union unless the bloc learns lessons from Brexit, Michel Barnier has warned. Brussels' former chief negotiator said Eurocrats must heed warnings from disgruntled citizens before it's too late to avoid a catastrophic breakup of the project. He said leaders would soon face social unrest if they refuse to listen to the genuine concerns expressed by voters. Mr. Barnier said, "We could draw some lessons from Brexit for ourselves. It's now too late for the UK but not for us." 5:10 a.m. update, end reliance on EU. UK must become self-reliant to avoid being at bloc's mercy on vaccines. The recent vaccine wrangle underlines why the UK must also end its reliance on goods imported from the EU, Brexiteer Jane Addai has said. The Get Britain Out director, writing in her weekly newsletter, pointed to an announcement by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen that the bloc would soon be making sure all vaccines it uses are made 100% within the EU. At the moment such an approach is not possible because Pfizer is reliant on a company in Yorkshire, Corda International, to provide several key components for its jab. 4:05 a.m. Update, Boris Johnson urged to punish EU if Brussels miss trade deal deadline, enough is enough. The EU has still not ratified the post-Brexit trade deal agreed with the UK as MEPs refuse to name a date for a vote to take place before the April 30 deadline set by Downing Street. And Boris Johnson has been urged to punish the bloc if they miss the deadline. On Christmas Eve, the UK and the EU struck an 11th-hour trade cooperation agreement (TCA) after months of negotiations. The agreement set in place the trading arrangements which were to come into force at the end of the transition period on January 1. 3:30 a.m. Update, EU deploying same old negotiating tactics as Britain pushes to put an end to border row. British officials are worried they may not find a deal to resolve the Brexit row over Northern Ireland if Brussels reverts back to its same old negotiating techniques. It is feared Eurocrats are insisting the UK bows down to their demands before wrangling over the 2019 Brexit deal's protocol, to avoid a hard border, can move forward. The tactic was often deployed by former chief negotiator Michel Barnier, who insisted that his terms should be met before talks could move forward. The Frenchman would describe the process as parallelism. 2:40 a.m. Update, expats betrayal, EU not sticking to their end of the bargain, says Brexit campaigner. Brussels is failing to honor its commitment to UK expats who have opted to continue living in the bloc, Brexit campaigner Jane Addai has said. And Ms. Addai claimed there was a conspiracy of silence on the issue, pointing out the reaction would be very different if the rights of EU citizens living in Britain were being undermined. Writing in her weekly newsletter, Ms. Addai, director of Get Britain Out, said, despite every attempt by the EU to undermine us, the UK is pushing forward and beginning to see the benefits of Brexit, benefits shared by all who live in the UK, because we have rightly kept to our promises to protect the rights of EU citizens here in the UK. 12:25 a.m. Update, get over it. Juncker admits major Brexit mistake, I shouldn't have listened to Cameron. Jean-Claude Juncker has admitted he should not have listened to David Cameron during the Brexit process during a tell-all interview today. In a huge revelation, the former EU chief admitted he did not do enough to prevent the UK's exit from the bloc. Commenting on his position, Mr. Juncker also insisted he did not defend the EU's point of view in the UK. Speaking today, he claimed he was too silent throughout the debate over the UK's departure from the EU. Melanie Kyden takes over live reporting from Luke Hawker, 9:25 p.m. Update, UK has to lose EU shackles. Lord Moylan tells Boris to ignore bloc's new trade barriers. Boris Johnson has been urged to free Britain of its EU shackles after the bloc responded to Brexit by erecting unnecessary barriers to trade. The advice came from Lord Moylan, a Conservative member of the House of Lords. Following Brexit, Brussels refused to give UK-based financial firms equivalence-based EU market access. This was despite the UK and EU starting with near-identical financial regulations, as Britain carried over laws from its time within the bloc. Lord Moylan shared a Daily Telegraph comment piece by Barnabas Reynolds, global head of the Financial Services Industry Group, who urged Britain to abandon hopes of EU equivalence and build its own regulations. The peer commented, a very wise piece, we need to stop fretting about the fact that the EU is erecting unnecessary barriers to trade and use it as an opportunity to reframe our regulations to suit us. 7:15 p.m. Update, Hillary Clinton hits out at problems Brexit has brought at Queen's University event. Hillary Clinton has blamed Northern Ireland's recent unrest on problems created by Brexit. The former First Lady even said that the Northern Ireland Protocol, which has created checks on goods between the province and the mainline UK, undermines the peace process. Mrs. Clinton, who lost out to Donald Trump in the 2016 presidential race, blindly blamed the province's complex problems on Brits exercising their democratic rights, completely ignoring years of sectarian division. 6:20 p.m. Update, Brexit row exploded as Denmark mocked small nation UK, nothing good from EU exit. Brexit trade talks saw the EU-27 put up a largely united front against the UK, and Brussels aimed to win the most favourable agreement possible. A deal was eventually reached, but the recent vaccine row and clashes over Northern Ireland have shown that UK-European relations have suffered since the referendum in 2016. This was evident when a government minister in Denmark branded the UK a small nation that does not yet realise its status. He suggested that Britain's days as a global power had been and gone, and that Brexit would be a disaster for the UK. 4:50 p.m. Update. EU chief issues warning to Boris Johnson over Northern Ireland. Maros Sefcovic, EU Commission Vice President, has thrown the gauntlet down to Boris Johnson over post-Brexit arrangements in Northern Ireland and warned the EU will not accept terms that put any risk to the integrity of the single market. Speaking to the Financial Times, the EU chief acknowledged the complexity of the protocol and called for a good faith approach. He said, "It's not easy to do, it's a massive task, but what we need is the good faith approach and the proper implementation of all the commitments already undertaken, so we see the system working, and then we can look at the risks which are associated with different measures being applied." 4 p.m. Update. Pressure is on. Brussels. U.S. could replace EU in new agriculture post-Brexit trade deal. The European Union could find itself under intense pressure as the UK looks towards the US to establish new major trade links. Economist and fellow at think tank Centre for Brexit Policy, Catherine McBride insisted the UK could have an even greater trading relationship with the US. During an interview with Express.co.uk, Ms. McBride warned the EU could be under pressure as it faces US competition to supply the UK in agriculture and food. She added that, unlike the rest of Europe, the UK and US share a common language, meaning other forms of trade in media, film and entertainment could be utilised as well. 2:40 p.m. Update. Ireland's Michael Martin said tensions between Northern Ireland are encouraged by political events. Michael Martin said it had become clear in recent weeks what can happen when sectarian tensions are left to grow and are then encouraged by political events. The Fianna Fáil leader made the comments at his party's annual 1916 commemoration at Arbour Hill Cemetery in Dublin. Mr. Martin said, "The terrible scenes on the streets of Belfast have deep roots which we must challenge, and it falls to all of us to play a constructive and moderating role. We understand that Brexit is one of the factors in this situation." Mr. Martin described the Northern Ireland Protocol as a fair conclusion to attempts to limit the potential destructiveness of Brexit on this island. "It is complex, but it is nowhere near as complex as it is presented," he said. "It is not as complex as the thousands of Brexit issues remaining in relation to trade and other contacts between Great Britain and the European Union. Rules and connections developed over half a century don't come apart easily. With good faith and cooperation, disruption can be limited and we can resolve outstanding issues." He added, "It is important to say that very serious harm can come if we keep seeing people trying to use Brexit as an issue to create points of dispute or by presenting every single issue as a zero-sum, win-lose fight. When this approach is followed in relation to UK-EU relations, the damage it causes is primarily economic. When it involves misrepresenting the arrangements for Northern Ireland, the damage can go much further." 1:45 p.m. Update. Frexit now. Petition calls for French referendum on leaving EU after new £25 billion a year cost. A petition demanding that France hold a referendum on leaving the European Union has gained traction. Created by referendum-u.org, it attracted more than 15,500 signatures shortly after going live. As well as gaining widespread backing among France's increasingly Eurosceptic public, many influential commentators also voiced their support for it. Proponents include top journalist Alexis Poulain, whistleblower Stephanie Gibbard and economist Olivier Delamarche. On the page inviting people to sign the petition, it says, in 2005 to 55% of French people voted no to the European Constitutional Treaty. Since then, no referendum on the European Union has taken place. Is this normal? However, two major changes have just occurred. And these changes will cost the French dearly. 1 p.m. update, EU cannot be trusted. Britons warn Boris as Barnier plans to release tell-all diary. Boris Johnson has been urged to remember the EU cannot be trusted after Michel Barnier announced he will publish his private diary. Mr. Barnier was the EU's chief Brexit negotiator and played a key role in negotiations with the UK after the 2016 Leave vote. The diary will be published under the title, Brexit, The Grand Illusion, with the subheading, Brexit Secret Diary. During his time in office, Mr. Barnier was involved in high-stakes talks with Boris Johnson and Theresa May over Britain's future EU relationship. Last December he agreed a new trade deal with Mr. Johnson which set the rules for UK-EU trade. There is speculation Mr. Barnier is hoping to run for the French presidency in 2022 in opposition to Emmanuel Macron. 12:35 p.m. update, we've secured £900 billion in post-Brexit trade and we're just getting started. Liz Truss. As a newly independent trading nation, we are realizing our vision of global Britain by forging closer links with our friends and family across the world. New Zealand may be on the other side of the world from the United Kingdom, but we could not be closer as like-minded democracies who believe fiercely in free and fair trade. Trade is vital for our ongoing recovery and lasting prosperity, lighting the spark for new and high-quality jobs in key industries like food and drink, advanced manufacturing, services and technology. We want to forge closer links with fast-growing and like-minded nations across the Americas and Pacific to help the best of British business export worldwide. That is why we have been working hard over the last few months to strike a gold standard trade agreement with New Zealand. We have made great progress so far and our negotiators have been meeting over the last week for our fourth round of talks. 12:15 p.m. update, Jeremy Clarkson fumes I'd rather have COVID than leave EU over Brexit disaster on farm. Jeremy Clarkson has fumed that he'd rather have COVID than leave the EU after facing a disaster on his diddly squat farm due to Brexit. Former Top Gear presenter Jeremy Clarkson, 61, has ranted about the UK leaving the European Union after his move to diversify his farm's crop was held back by Brexit border problems. The Grand Tour host argued that the successful rollout of the UK's vaccination program was not evidence that Brexit was a success, as he fumed that he'd rather have COVID than face more disasters on his diddly squat farm. Jeremy had been attempting to grow durum wheat, which is used in several popular food products including pasta and flatbread, as pigeons and climate change were affecting his rapeseed crop. However, he then found that he could only order durum seeds from a provider in the Rhône Valley in France. 11:05 a.m. update, preposterous. Scottish nationalists' colonial view of history skewered by top Brexiteer. The Scottish nationalist view that Scotland was annexed by its larger neighbour has been condemned as preposterous by a leading Brexiteer. Lord Hannan, a leading Brexit advocate, argued Scottish nationalists sell Scottish separatism as a form of anti-colonialism to match that statue-smashing, anti-imperialist mood of our age. Instead, he argues Scots played a crucial role in the Union which created the most powerful and influential nation the world had ever known. Scotland and England united in 1707 to form the Kingdom of Great Britain. Lord Hannan, formerly Conservative Party member of the European Parliament, was reacting to a new campaign video from Alex Salmond's Alba Party. The former First Minister launched Alba seeking a supermajority in the Scottish Parliament to push for independence. 10:50 a.m. update, Brussels surrenders. EU says it will accept British shellfish after Brexit revenge. The EU will accept shellfish exports from much of Britain after UK fishing waters were upgraded to Class A in quality. Brussels sparked fury post-Brexit when it blocked shellfish caught in Class B waters post-Brexit, which made up the vast majority of the sea surrounding Britain. The British government was privately furious with one minister accusing the EU of trying to punish the UK for Brexit. However, shellfish exports will now be allowed after waters off Cornwall, Devon, Essex, Kent and Northumberland were updated to Class A status. The move was made by the UK's Independent Food Standards Agency. Oysters, mussels, clams and cockles from these areas can now be sold in the EU. 9:55 a.m. Update, EU on brink, Norway shows why the European project will fail big time. The European Union was warned by an expert that Norway highlighted a weakness of the bloc. The EU has endured disagreements during the pandemic over national sovereignty after its vaccine rollout stalled. Some countries, such as Germany, had begun negotiating its own contracts with pharmaceutical companies before handing the responsibility to the EU. After a row with AstraZeneca, the bloc has experienced significant delays. Debates over integration and sovereignty have been waged for decades in Europe, but an expert believes Norway provides evidence of how the European project could fail big time. Sir Paul Collier, a British development economist at Oxford University, was speaking an Intelligence Squared debate in 2017. 9:45 a.m. Update, EU crisis, Eurosceptic alliance to paralyze Brussels as insider warns of divided Europe. European Union decision-making could be paralyzed if Italy joins Poland and Hungary in electing a Eurosceptic government to power, according to political analyst Grant Amiot. The victory of Matteo Salvini's Eurosceptic right-wing coalition in Italy could topple the balance of power in Europe, according to the political science professor. Mr. Salvini's League is currently in pole position to replace Mario Draghi's technocratic Italian government after the next election. Professor Amiot has suggested a potential alliance between Italy, Hungary, and Poland in the European Parliament could ultimately make the bloc ungovernable. 9:20 a.m. Update, rejoiner Brian Cox shut down after woke professor tried to preach about politics. Brian Cox appeared to be shut down on Twitter after the woke professor took aim at the government, with one user pleading, "Please do not preach to us about politics." The English physicist is the author or co-author of over 950 scientific publications and is best known for presenting a string of science programs including his BBC Wonders of series. But he was also an opponent of Brexit and called for another vote on the issue, despite the UK deciding to leave the EU. Since then, Professor Cox has taken to social media to share his aspirations of rejoining the bloc, whilst simultaneously taking aim at the government. 9:10 a.m. Update, Frexit warning, Barnier makes plea to Macron to listen to citizens who want to leave EU. Michel Barnier has urged Emmanuel Macron to learn from Brexit lessons or France could follow Britain and leave the European Union. The former Brexit negotiator warned the EU and France should not be complacent amid social unrest across the bloc as Euroscepticism rises across the continent. He said France could be next to leave the EU if they do not heed Brexit warnings. Mr. Barnier told a conference on Brexit and the future of the EU in Le Touquet, near Boulogne, "We could draw some lessons from Brexit for ourselves. It's now too late for the UK but not for us. Let us ask ourselves, why this figure of 52% at the referendum? 52% of citizens voted against Brussels, against the EU, so much so that they actually ended up leaving the Union." 8:50 a.m. Update, pressure is on, Brussels. US could replace EU in new agriculture post-Brexit trade deal. The European Union could find itself under intense pressure as the UK looks towards the US to establish new major trade links. Economist and fellow at think tank Centre for Brexit Policy, Catherine McBride insisted the UK could have an even greater trading relationship with the US. During an interview with Express.co.uk, Ms. McBride warned the EU could be under pressure as it faces US competition to supply the UK in agriculture and food. She added that, unlike the rest of Europe, the UK and US share a common language, meaning other forms of trade in media, film and entertainment could be utilized as well. 8:25 a.m. Update, EU wanted to keep UK captive. Biden urged to see through EU schemes to hamper Brexit. UK Joe Biden has been ordered to see through the schemes and traps the EU set for the UK on Brexit and reinvigorate the US-UK relationship. Economist and fellow at think tank Centre for Brexit Policy, Catherine McBride attacked the EU for their schemes on Northern Ireland. During an interview with Express.co.uk, Ms. McBride insisted the EU wanted to keep the UK captive to force its products and regulations on the nation regardless of Brexit. She added the EU was never concerned about destabilizing Ireland, Northern Ireland and the rest of the United Kingdom.